What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Dove Previews. I've got 3 picks which I put down that I'm going to take you through today. We'll also go through each game. I'll tell you what my thoughts are, give you some insights. Hopefully that helps. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
2-1 on the picks that I gave out yesterday on the video. A slightly winning day if you tailed those, but if you're in VIP, just like me, tough day all around. Minus 9.4 units. I think that puts to bed the whole he only shares good picks in VIP and saves the losing ones for YouTube. Completely not true. It was terrible. The gambling gods, they came at us with the biggest strap on you've ever seen, and they did not miss. This was one of the days where the straight picks weren't great, but the value plays are awful. For the first time in a long time, we didn't cash any of them. That's how we went down 9 units. And this is one of the days that I talk about all the time. A bad day is minus 10 units, but a good day is 30 plus. It's been a very long time since we've had such a bad day like this. It absolutely sucks. But the same way I won't get overexcited if we have a huge day, I'm not going to get overly emotional if we have a bad day. My strategy, and I know this, is riskier than most people, which is why I can profit a lot more than most people. So it is what it is. We roll on. Strategy does not change. And here we are. But let's talk about all the straight picks that happened yesterday. Then I'll take you through my picks, and then we'll go through a list of leans that I have, and I'll drop some insights on all the other games that I'm not talking about. So the first pick, Anthony Edwards over 9.5 rebounds and assists. This was so far off. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. It was his lowest rebounds and assist output since the 12th of November. 4 months. 4 months ago was the last time he performed that bad in rebounds and assists. He took 27 shots in 31 minutes. He had a 40% usage rate in this game. It doesn't make any sense to me, but the matchup was great, but he was just in a different mood today. I don't know what else to say about it, but Dante DiVincenzo, I took him for over 13.5 points. And this play correlates to Anthony Edwards. If Ant is taking all the shots, it meant there's less food on the table for everybody else, and Dante didn't get to eat. If anything, he dimed up like crazy. It's easy to get dimes when you're passing the ball to Anthony Edwards, and he shoots it every single time. What I hate about this, I originally had his points and his assists that was the main play that I was going to take. I took that same play, I think, when they played Denver, and I got hooked on that one. So I was like, nah, I'm just running the points today with Dante, and it sucked. So a bit unlucky with that one, I guess, but Shook Lopez, which is Brook Lopez, I took him again, took his over in points after he cooked me in the last game. I expected a bounce back. I wanted more volume, and it didn't happen. So my man's rattled right now. He plays the minutes, and he just didn't shoot the ball enough. I don't know what else to say. So that sucked. I'm going to give Brook Lopez a break for the next week or so. I also bet on Jakob Poeltl under 19.5 points and rebounds. I expected a reduction in his minutes with his whole tanking bullshit, and he did play the 25 minutes I expected. The problem was he was an absolute beast in the 25 minutes he played. Once he hit a three-pointer to start the game, I thought, this is some bullshit, and he absolutely killed it today. He was extremely effective in the limited time that he saw. I also bet Trae Young under 25.5 points. He was excellent. Hats off to Trae. Dimed up like crazy, scored really well, even got a couple of boards. Trae Young was excellent today. I was a fool for trying to take his under. But we did have a couple of winning plays, and a lot of these I'm not super proud of anyway. But Austin Reeves over 9.5 rebounds and assists. This was sweatier than I thought it would be. For some reason, he started off the game rebounding well, not many dimes. Then in the second half, it flipped. He barely got any rebounds, and he dimed up like crazy, and he just managed to catch this line. But this was a line I thought he was going to smash out of the water. So not super proud of how that bet finished, even though it won for me. I know it didn't hit for others. So not happy about that. Lauri Markkanen under 17.5 points. He came out guns blazing. He had 16 points at halftime. Thankfully, doesn't score in the second half. So got lucky with that one. Donovan Clingan over 18.5 points and rebounds. Honestly, this was a bad bet. I think this was lucky that it cashed. I originally just loved his rebound line, but that rebound line was like minus 150 when I looked at it. So I pivoted to the points and rebounds to get better odds, and that just cashed. But at the same time, it didn't cash any bumps. It just look, we're on the right side of a hook. So I'd say we were lucky, but this was a bad bet. Easy could have pivoted to just rebounds and assists because his assist line was so low. I think that would have been the smarter play in hindsight, but what can you do? So we hit on Ryan Dunn. This is probably the only bet that I was really happy with, over 8.5 points. And this whole look was he'll get minutes because he's defending Luka. He'll get a lot of weak side 3-point opportunities because that's how the Lakers play defense. He saw a lot of those opportunities. He missed a lot of shots, but he still managed to cash for us late. And he managed to cash despite being in foul trouble for the majority of the game. So Ryan Dunn, probably the only bet that I was really happy with. All the others, I'd say they were a little bit average. So I want to do better. It's a good bounce back spot for me. Pretty poor day, and I'm pretty determined to get over the hump. So let's get into 3 picks, shall we? Let's go. Jumping into props madness is the best tool you're going to find for betting on NBA player props. It doesn't matter how bad my bets are because there are so many successful people using this exact tool, performing extremely well. I'm a piece of shit and I know it. No, I'm not going to do any self-loathing or pity, right? It was one bad day. We move on. Even if yesterday was excellent, we move on, right? So this is the best tool you're going to find if you like betting in NBA player props. It supported me in getting 250 units profit this season. Check it out. You won't find anything like it. 7-day free trial, 25% off if you use the code DAFT when you happen to sign up. Now let's talk about these 3 picks, and I'm going to do it with the utmost confidence. So the first one is in this Miami Heat versus New York Knicks. It's not on Karl-Anthony Towns. Big Zesty. I haven't put a bet on him for a very long time. But we're looking at OG Anunoby today, and I love OG's rebounds. 5.5 boards. We're getting this for plus money, plus 130 on FanDuel. The odds for this are absolutely terrific, and I'm buying it. And the whole thought process here, ever since Jalen Brunson went out 4 games ago, OG Anunoby's been a rebounding machine. Over the last 4 games, OG averaging 7.8 boards, and we have a line of 5.5 here. In terms of minutes, he's going to see a ton of minutes. And why do I say that? It's because he plays for the New York Knicks, and Coach Thibodeau is his coach. Duh. And he's going to run his starters into the ground. I think OG plays close to 40 minutes in this one against Miami. We've got a 7-point spread. The Knicks are favorites, so there should be some rebound opportunities heading OG's ways. Now, he last played the Miami Heat 2 weeks ago, had 9 rebounds in that game. It did go into overtime, but he did have 8 rebounds by the end of regulation. Miami does fall into zone a lot defensively, and when they do play zone, OG crashes the board extremely hard, especially from that weak side. So I love the opportunity for him to get a couple offensive boards. The defensive rebound should be there. Now, normally OG is the player picking up the best offensive player in the other team. In this example here, we're talking about Tyler Hero. The problem with that is Miami running 2 bigs at the moment with Ware and Bam Adebayo. I don't know if they could afford to have OG chasing Hero around the whole game. And they've also got Deuce McBride, who's an excellent point of attack defender. I think Deuce is going to pick up Hero for a lot of this game. OG will have some time in him, of course, but given the lack of size that the Knicks have with their starting lineup, I think OG is going to play a lot of the 3-4 defensively, probably defend Bam for a little bit. Either way, what it means is OG is going to be in better positions to get some boards today. So I do like him to continue this hot streak of getting some rebounds. I did consider his rebounds and assists because the hit rate on that is fantastic. But, man, I'm taking OG for assists. Like he's had a couple of outlier games, but this is not what he does. He scores, plays defense, and then he gets rebounds from time to time. So I'm liking OG to continue this streak of getting these boards. We know he's going to play a ton of minutes, so the opportunity is going to be there. So let's go OG. Get those boards, my boy. The next play, we're heading into the Detroit Pistons versus the New Orleans Pelicans. And I hate to say this, but I'm betting on Tobias Harris. Now, once upon a time, this might have been last year, I bet on Tobias Harris, and the research was fantastic, and he was absolutely dog shit, and everyone complained, including myself, that this J. Cole-looking just was never to be bet on again. But I'm betting on him today, and the reason why I say this is because, despite what you all may believe, Tobias Harris is actually the most consistent player on this Detroit Pistons team. Kate Cunningham can have some massive games scoring, massive games diamond up, but he does go on and off. Malik Beasley, very much the same. Jalen Duren, he'll find foul trouble or he won't rebound sometimes like he did against OKC. Whereas someone like Tobias Harris, extremely consistent from this calendar year. In 2025, Tobias Harris, I don't know what he did, a New Year's resolution or some shit, but he's been playing extremely well. He's been consistent. So I'm taking his PRA today, over 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now, Tobias Harris is projected to play 34 minutes in this game. I looked at games where he plays between 32 and 36, and look what I found. Over this in 18 out of 25 games this season. What I love about this, he's up against the New Orleans Pelicans, who are dog shit defensively. They've got the worst defensive rating. They're bad against transition. They're bad against spot-up shooting. They're bad in all the areas he likes to score. They allow the second most points around the ring, and that's where Tobias Harris scores most of his points, right? So the matchup is fantastic. So all I did was look at defensive rating. I filtered out the top 15 teams. So we're looking at the worst 15 teams in defensive rating. And Tobias Harris is over this line in 10 out of 11 games, provided he plays 33 to 36 minutes, averaging 27.4 points, rebounds, and assists. So this is quite analytical. We already know the Pelicans suck. Tobias Harris, he's pretty like mid at everything, but he gets the second most minutes on this Detroit Pistons team. Is the one constant that you're always going to find out there. And Cade Cunningham is a great matchup to get some dimes, and I think Tobias Harris will be a recipient of those. I think he'll be able to score very well. He rebounds very well, especially as a late. Check out these rebound numbers. 7 consecutive games, dominating his rebound prop. I like what I'm seeing here. Tobias Harris, over his PRA, 22.5. Now, my dog is snoring like crazy right now, and I'm pretty sure that you can hear it, so I do apologize for that, but I don't want to disturb her. Let's let her be. But let's get into this last pick. I am looking at Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Sacramento Kings. And the angle here is very simple. No Ja Morant, no Santi Aldama. Aldama's a game-time decision, but it's highly unlikely that he plays. And when these two guys are missing, Jaren Jackson Jr. goes crazy. So I'm looking at his PRA today. I took Jaren Jackson Jr. at 32.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It's available on most books at the moment. But if this does happen to move to 33.5, the pivot would be to take his points prop at 24.5. Now, without Ja Morant, Santi Aldama is over this line in 6 out of 8 games, averaging 35.1 points, rebounds, and assists. The 2 games he went under was a 24-point blowout against the OKC Thunder and a game where he only played 2 minutes because of injury. Now, excluding that game where he got injured, he's over this line in 6 or 7, 40.1 points, rebounds, and assists. And it also includes a game against the team he's playing today, the Sacramento Kings, where he had 28 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He pretty much covered his points, rebounds, and his assist line. So I'm expecting Jaren Jackson Jr. to do big things. In terms of his scoring profile, it is absolutely perfect. And this is why I say the pivot would be to take the over in points. But if you take the 32.5 PRA, you actually get a discount of 1. If you add up his points, rebounds, and assist line, they add up to 33.5. But if you can catch it at 32.5, you get a nice little discount there. Now, his scoring profile is excellent. Despite his athleticism, Jaren Jackson Jr. loves shooting three-pointers, and he's got a great matchup to do so. The Sacramento Kings, they allow the most points to spot-up shooters in the league. In terms of points above the break, Jaren Jackson Jr. scoring 24% of his points out there. Sacramento Kings are the second most points above the break. Now, when he does choose to get aggressive with it, he actually scores most of his points in the paint, but not in the restricted area, which is very interesting. There's a lot of hook shots and there's a lot of floaters. Jaren Jackson Jr. loves that stuff, and he's got a great matchup for that. This Sacramento Kings team somehow limit teams very well around the restricted area, but when they are awful is above the break and in that favorite zone of Jaren Jackson Jr. in the paint, but outside of the restricted area. They don't have the shot blockers to really impact any floaters that he tends to put up. So what I'm basically saying here is Jaren Jackson Jr. has a great matchup to score some points. I'm going with the rebounds and assists purely because his usage rate is absolutely sexy when Santi and Ja Morant aren't there. Being straight up with you, my first look in this game was on Desmond Bane. Like, if Ja Morant is out, I usually go straight to Desmond Bane. The problem is Desmond Bane, his line is sky high right now. His PRA is at 37.5. Points line's at 22. His assist line's at 7.5. His rebound line is at 6.5. Like, this guy, you can bet on him to get a triple-double, and you're probably not even going to get great odds for it. So, staying away from Desmond Bane, but rolling with Jaren Jackson Jr. in this one. Those are the 3 picks, but I do have some leans to take you through. So, pump the brakes real quick. I ask you like the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the channel, help your boy grow. Drop me a comment down below. You can say anything. Hopefully, it's nice, but if you've got some hurtful things to say because your parents didn't love you as you're grown up, feel free to write that down there as well. All the comments that you leave help push this out to more people, and that's how you can help support me. So, I'm going to go through each game right now. I'll give you some thoughts, my insights on some players, what I'm thinking. I really just have a really long list of leans right now. A lot of players I've considered betting on, and through the process of elimination, the 3 that I've shared with you are the ones that survived. But the reason why I'm keeping that list of leans is because when I wake up in the morning, the projections that I look through, a lot of those will become a little bit more accurate around minutes, rotations, that side of stuff. So I'll make the rest of my picks then, but I thought if my picks aren't hitting, I might as well give you my thoughts and my insights. Some of you guys value that. If you're not interested in the deep dive, just turn this shit off right now. But for those of you who are, let's go. All right, let's clean this is Miami Heat versus the Knicks game. And what are the other things? So one other bet that I considered taking here was Miles McBride, and I was looking at his assists. And pretty much no Jalen Brunson means McBride starting in the lineup, getting more minutes, seeing more opportunities. His assist line, 4.5. He's over this in 3 out of 4 games, averaging 5.5 assists. Up against Miami, they do give up some assists. They're pretty good at limiting pick and roll ball handlers, but they'll give it up to spot up shooters. And Miles McBride's going to be surrounded by 4 of them. So he's got a great matchup to get some assists here. The main reason I didn't take this bet, the odds for it weren't fantastic. There's decent odds on Bet365, but most other places is not there. So I still may take this if it holds at this price by the morning. Then yeah, it's definitely one that I'm considering taking. I don't mind him to get some assists. And for the Miami Heat, I know Tyler Hero hasn't been playing that great lately, but his matchup is fantastic. I said this last time he played the Knicks, actually, and he shot poorly, 33% from the field, but he did happen to dime up. We got McBride in the lineup, so it might be a little bit more difficult for him to score. But the assist side of things, I think that could be there for Tyler Hero, getting plus money if you take his over 6.5 assists. Those are some that I considered. Andrew Wiggins, I looked at his rebounds and assists in this game, the 6.5, and pretty much since he's playing with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, over this line in 7 out of 10 games, averaging 6.8 rebounds and assists. Problem here is Andrew Wiggins is a game time decision. I don't know what the status is on his health. If he does play, will he be 100%? I'm not willing to take that risk right now. So they're the main ones I thought about in this game. 76ers versus the Rockets. 76ers are on a back-to-back. We'll probably have a huge spread in this game. It's 15 points. So if you're thinking it's a blowout, I'd consider targeting someone on Houston's bench. The lines for them aren't out right now, but definitely one to think about. If I was looking at the starters, someone like a Dylan Brooks, someone like a Jalen Green, these are the types of guys who have been torching Philly at the moment. They've been really soft above the break, getting murdered by these types of players. So they're the ones that I'd consider. I don't have any confidence in Alperen Şengün, so I'm betting on him. And for Philly, man, I don't know what to do. So I kind of stayed away from all those guys. Pistons versus the Pelicans. Now, the Pels have a couple of game time decisions in this, and I'm waiting until their lineups are finalized before I bet on them. Zion, Olynyk, Missy. They're all game time decisions in this game. But for Detroit, I've got obviously the play on Tobias Harris. We've got Cade Cunningham. He's got an excellent matchup to get some assists today. The Pelicans, good at limiting pick and roll ball handlers, and they don't foul too much. So Cade Cunningham, look, the defense sucks. His matchup's not too difficult, but what I'm saying here is a lot of other people have good matchups. Jalen Duren has a good matchup to score. Tobias Harris, Beasley, Hardaway, pretty much all the guys he passes the ball to, they all have good matchups to score. So the assist was something I considered over 9.5 here for Cade Cunningham. James Harden, Luka Doncic more recently. Similar play styles to Cade Cunningham. They torched the Pelicans with assists. 17 for Harden, 15 for Doncic. Honestly thought about going for Cade 10, 13, and 15 assists. I know it's been a long time since he dropped those types of numbers, but this matchup is fantastic for it. That's some things that I considered. We got the Pacers versus the Wolves. I considered taking Anthony Edwards, pretty much just over his PRA. Because I don't know if he's going to score, if he's going to go back to getting his rebounds and assists. Chances are he gets his rebounds and assists because he didn't do any of that in the last game. But high usage rate for Anthony Edwards up against the Pacers. Should be a nicely paced game. Julius Randle considered his rebounds today, over 6.5 boards. This Pacers team does give quite a few rebounds to power forwards as well. But Julius Randle's one of those guys, like the form could look great, the matchup could look great, and then he just does something completely opposite. That's what I found with him this season. So I'm choosing to stay away from him. And if we take a look at the Pacers, we've only got lines for Hallie and Miles Turner. They've got a lot of game time decisions, so I didn't waste any time looking at them. We got the Bulls versus the Jazz, 2 tanking teams at the moment. What the hell's going to happen here? Colin Sexton, his points and assists, they interest me. Got 34 minutes against the Timberwolves. I would have thought he would have got a lot less, but he's not part of the tanking plans, I guess. His minutes are probably a bit more reliable. Who knows? We've got Trey Jones. He's definitely going to see minutes. There's no Giddey, so he's playing 30 to 35 minutes in this game up against the Utah Jazz. His assist was the first place I looked, and even though he hasn't hit it recently, he's had some difficult matchups to get some assists. Now he's got the softest matchup in the league against the Utah Jazz, but he has actually been scoring quite well. He's over this line in 4 out of 5 games. So my pivot there was I was going to look at his points plus assists. That's what I was considering, but yeah, it's the Bulls at the end of the day, so I didn't take anything there. Grizzlies versus the Kings. So, you know my thoughts on Jaren Jackson Jr. You know my thoughts on Desmond Bane. Even though he could have a massive game, I think that line's a little bit too high for me to take. Looking at the Sacramento Kings team, Zach LaVine's got a good matchup to score some points. Memphis, give it up in transition and above the break and the spot-up shooters. But Zach LaVine hasn't been playing that well lately, so that's kind of talked me off it. There's this discrepancy in odds as well. Bet365, Hard Rock, Underdog, they all have him at 19.5, which I think is fantastic. But FanDuel, which is a sharper book, has him at 21.5. So the 19.5 was something that I was willing to play, and I probably may play it before I go to bed. We'll see. I'm not in a rush to get some bets down right now, but yeah, this looks nice. We've got a high game total. 19.5 points, provided they're not going blown out. So if you look at the games where they've lost, Knicks versus the Warriors, these are the 2 games where he's gone under, and they've just been blowout losses. So if you look at the games with DeMar DeRozan, blowout, against the Warriors, that was a blowout. Against the Mavs, they won by 1 in that game. Zach LaVine was 8 from 18, so he played poorly. And then with the Orlando Magic, that was a blowout too. So if this is not a blowout, how does Zach LaVine not cover the 19.5 points? So I think part of the reason why I haven't taken it yet, it's like I don't know how many people can get these odds, but 365, Hard Rock, Underdog, I think this is a nice look. Zach LaVine to get 20 points. DeMar DeRozan to get his PRA, that's one I'd be considering. Looking at games with Zach LaVine in the lineup, he's only hit this kind of 50% of the time, but we've got a really high total against the Grizzlies. Could the rebounds and assists, could that wagon come back for DeMar DeRozan? That I'm not sure. So I don't know how DeMar contributes, but yeah, that was one that I considered. Malik Monk and Sabonis, I think they'll be competing for assists. So one of them is going to get a lot of assists. I just don't know who it's going to be. So I'm kind of hesitating on that. But yeah, Zach LaVine to get 19.5 points is great. Bet365, Hard Rock, Underdog. I think that's pretty good. Would I play this at 21.5? I honestly probably still would, because if the game's going to be close, I think 21.5 is probably as high as I would go, though. But this 19.5 is calling my name. If it's still at 19.5 by the time I finish this video and edit it and upload it, then I'm going to take the bet. Let me just say that. Nuggets versus the Warriors. Haven't looked at this. Game time decisions here for Steph Curry, Jokic. We don't know if they're going to play or not. Raptors versus the Suns. Man, the Suns suck, but the Raptors don't know how to tank properly. They keep bringing players in and out quickly, and RJ Barrett a game time decision. So my thought process on this Raptors game is like one of these bench guys who's been performing quite well and seeing a lot of minutes. I'm probably going to bet on one of them. I don't know who it's going to be, but a lot of those guys have been balling in the time that they get. And for Phoenix, they'll be pretty much playing everybody. Bradley Beal's a game time decision, as well as Grayson Allen. But yeah, we've got to wait for those lineups to be confirmed. Wizards versus the Blazers. So not many game time decisions to really wait on. Nothing that really moves the needle too much. But back-to-back set for these guys as well. So I don't know what the angle's going to be. Denny versus old team. That's always a look. I think I took this the last time we played Washington, and this is the game where he got injured in the first 6 minutes. In that game, he had 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist in the first 6 minutes. So Denny Adria and his PRA might be something that I'm willing to entertain. 33.5 is a little bit high, though. But Jeremy Grant at the same time is probably not playing. So Denny Adria is one that I considered. And for this Washington Wizards team, I bet on Justin Champagnie not too long ago. Took his rebounds and assists against Denver. Do I take it again against Portland? Like, he is in the starting lineup now. He is getting some minutes, 33 plus minutes. Looking at games where he plays 30. What do we got? And it's not the best. It's not the worst either. And a lot of these come from rebounds, to be honest. I don't know why I looked at rebounds and assists. It really comes down to boards. 7.5 boards. The odds for it aren't fantastic, though. So if I was getting this at minus 110, I'd be all over the 7.5. So that's probably what I'm going to watch. And we'll see how the lines move by the time I wake up in the morning. And then the final game, we've got the Spurs versus the Lakers. We've got my favorite light skins, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, filling up the stat sheet. I honestly considered an Austin Reeves PRA, been crushing it lately, back to back. Do they have tired legs? They both played 40 minutes in this last game against Phoenix. So I'm not sure about that. Jackson Hayes, one that I considered. But the Spurs, they were terrible against centers post the break over the last 4 games. They've been good at limiting points and rebounds. But if Luka's playing, Jackson Hayes should be able to get a ton of buckets. In terms of the San Antonio Spurs, you can't go past Castle and Vassell. I honestly considered the scoring prop for both of them, more so Devin Vassell, and the reason why is the Lakers do collapse very well on players trying to penetrate the paint. They kind of leave the weak side open, so Devin Vassell, he should get some good looks here as a spot-up shooter, so I probably lean more towards his over. Odds for it aren't great at 17.5, so 18.5 is probably where you get the best odds, and I was kind of like, yeah, it makes sense. No Fox, no Wemby, but a small sample size, but it might be one that I bet on in the morning. Again, it's another one where I just want to see where the lines go. You'd be surprised. Sometimes I like a bet, or oftentimes when I take a bet, the line moves up, and I'm like, yeah, we got CLV, but it doesn't matter if the bet loses. But there are sometimes where I like a bet and the line drops. So interested to see whether that happens or not. So I've got a list of these. I probably missed a few players. There's a lot of bench players where the lines aren't available just yet because lines aren't confirmed yet. But once some bench props come out, that might be something that I take a look at. We'll see. I've got a long list. I'll be getting up nice and early to do some more research, and we'll see. For those of you who are subscribed to my Winnable, you'll get to see everything that I'm on. But if you did make it this far in the video, I do appreciate you. If you have nice things to say down below, I thank you for your support. If you choose to shit on me, then you have every right to do so, because I was absolutely awful yesterday, but we leave that in the past. We move on. We get better. We learn, baby. I wish you guys the best of luck, though. I do hope you cash all your slips. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to me. Let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.